Hello. How is everyone? Welcome
There's no
to
Pam
what day is
today.
it? Thursday. How are you, Starla?
Oh, I am awesome. We don't have Pam today, unfortunately, so you guys will have to be patient with us because she's really the brains of this operation.
Yep. So
Pam all along.
I'm at the steering wheel today, so I'm trying to get us up and running on YouTube and Facebook simultaneously. First time for me, so please be gentle.
Yes. And we've got some big announcements today, which we'll be making here in just a second. Looks like we are live on YouTube, so that's awesome.
Yep.
We'll probably have to give them a minute because normally they get, a couple days to join. Oh, we've already got people coming in. Okay, cool.
Terrific. Okay, good.
Awesome.
All
There we
right.
go. Yay. Everything worked perfect.
Great. All right, good. So, hello. How is everyone? Where are you logged in from? How's things going? Geez, I feel rusty. I feel like I haven't been on for at least 2 weeks.
Well, I see that we have Debbie and we've got Imperfect Workshop over on
Hello.
YouTube. So we know that both chats are working. So that's good. Guys, we do have some questions from our Wednesday post, which if you guys are not in the eRank group, make sure that you join that. If you are on YouTube right now, you'll just need to go and type in eRank group on Facebook to join. Hey, there's Pam. She's in the chat hanging out. And you can submit your questions a day early. That's great if you are, in a different time zone, if you're worried that you're not going to be able to make it, but you still want to ask a question, you can get those in every Wednesday in the pinned post at the very top of the eRank group. So we do have a couple of those to answer today, but we have some major announcements that are way more important that we want to tackle first. Then we'll probably do those questions from the group. And then Anthony, I think that it might be worth reviewing the questions towards, or the changes towards the end as well.
Okay. Yep.
Because we usually have quite a few join late. So maybe let's give them just a few minutes to get in. Let's see. We've got Gary's hanging out.
Hey, Gary.
Let me pop. Oh, and Samantha is over on YouTube. Samantha, you're coming up as Facebook user on Be Live. Let's see. The Artisan Studio is over on YouTube. Awesome. So it looks like we got 9 over on Facebook right now. We've got 9 on YouTube as well. So they're coming in a little bit slow. Anthony, before we jump into those changes, maybe I could hit a couple, maybe like 2 of the questions that were on the Wednesday post, just so we can give people time to join. Yeah, and then we'll get into the update. Okay, so on our Wednesday post, Rebecca had asked, I'm curious if eRank has any intention to create a Chrome research plugin. It would be so very helpful. And I see that you had responded to her, but I'm sure that other people might be interested in it.
Yeah, so we've been working on one for a while, like in between projects and stuff like that. And it's nearly ready. So we're going to launch it next month. It's pretty cool, but it's a version 1. So when it comes out, be gentle, please. And let us know how it works for you, if it does or doesn't work. I can probably give a very quick demo if people are interested. It's not going to change too much from what I show you to when we launch. But again, if you're familiar with MVP, it's like minimal viable product. We want to get something out there and then see if it's a good fit for you guys. So, as I say, hit the feedback button. So let me do that.
It's not a feedback button anymore. I said it's not a feedback button anymore, is it?
No, well, in the app, in the extension, it is for a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
But on the website, we've changed to a new messaging system. So, we can actually chat in real time to people who are having problems or questions. But let me try and share my screen here.
Yeah. Have you guys checked out the new our new chat feature in the bottom right corner of eRank? It is pretty nifty, and a lot of times you're getting responses from Anthony because he's crazy and provides customer support, even though he is the owner of the company.
Well, you know, it's kind of good to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, like Debbie and Irene are great at handling a lot of things, but sometimes it's good to get that feedback directly.
Oh,
And
absolutely. And you know, so many business owners completely separate themselves from the customer service side of their business. So
yep.
I'm sure you probably get a lot of you know, good user feedback that way.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so
All right. If you have to get rid of me for a second to be able to share, you totally can.
show in screen.
Gotta shuffle us. Shuffleophagus.
They're all awful. Okay. This one will do. If you squint and look really closely, it'll make absolutely no difference, but let's see. So I'm just going to pick on a random sort of listing here. This is a very cool looking hat. I think I might have to buy one of these. It'll make me look very sophisticated, right? Now, in the corner of my browser, you'll see there's a little eRank icon. That's our extension. And when I click on that, we'll start to see some stats. Haven't got many views yet. Sadly, haven't even sold it yet, but it's really a test listing. But you'll see the tags in there, and you can see, oh, Anthony, you're not following Etsy's best practices here. You've got only 3 tags. So that's what we're doing there. We'll give you a link that can take you to eRank to see the full listing order. If I go back to Etsy and let's say pick on a proper shop, not my test one. Let's see. Oh, this looks pretty neat, actually. Laughing Creek Prod. I wonder if you're on the call.
They get a free feature.
So I can then look at that shop and start to get information about them and ideas on what they've been doing and possibly ways to improve your listings as well. So right now it's pretty rudimentary. So you get some basic stats and the recent listings that they've updated, along with the views and favorites. You can click on tags, and again, click on the show button. It'll take you over to see more information about that listing. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I think there was one other thing. Oh, yeah. Let's pick on Sublime.
This is great. Our users have been asking for this for a long time.
Yeah, I know, and it's been on the radar, but you know, I don't know about you, Starla, but I'm not a big fan of browser extensions. And as you can see, I've got eRank is the only one on here. These are actually 2 integrations for my desktop. They're not technically browser extensions, but I'll talk about that more in a second. So again, in here, we can see the basic keyword stats. We can see some stats about the listings that are found on the page. And further down, most popular tags. So you'll get an idea of what the most popular tags are for the listings on the page that you're seeing here. So it's very basic. I'm not going to apologize for that because I really wanted to use it. Hit the feedback button. Let us know how we could be doing better, because the last thing I want to do is be spending hundreds of hours on research and development of something you just don't want. So please, when that comes out, let me know, or let us know through the feedback button. We will try to get a small beta test going, but if anyone's ever tried to sideload a browser extension before, it's not straightforward. So we'll see. It may be only for the really daring and technical people that are out there. So
the Bryans of the world.
The Bryans, yeah. The Bryans, indeed. He is.
All right.
A bit of a whiz at this. So that's that.
Jessica said that looks so cool. Guys, let us know what you guys think of it. All right, Anthony, we are up to 29 over on YouTube and 14 on Facebook. I think that we're probably good to start sharing some of the news that we had, and then we can get back to those questions.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Cool. All right. So the big thing for us is that we've been busily switching to Etsy's new API. We've actually been doing it for quite a while, different pieces here and there. For our keyword tool, for example, we did that switch maybe about 4 or 5 months ago. And we've been slowly rolling it out. And we're now at the pointy end. This is where we are switching off the old services that use the old API and switching them over to the new one. So for the most part, you shouldn't see any changes at all. Reality is there is one big obvious change there, and that has to do with your sales rank. So I got a lot of emails overnight from people and messages. People were really sad, upset, furious, okay, kind of happy about it. Basically the full emotional spectrum of reactions. And, I don't want to be glib here or dismiss the importance of this change. I'll give you a very quick history. So when we built the sales rank capability, it basically said, right, how many sales have you made since your shop opened? And we go, right, okay, so you've made 1,000. And then we said, okay, how many shops do we know about in the Etsy universe? And, it was, I think, initially when we launched it, probably about 2 million shops. So we said, okay, of those 2 million shops, you with your shop that's been going great the last couple of months, you're at 1,000. Where do you sit on that list? You're not number one, obviously, because someone's up there with 2 million sales. But you're probably somewhere in the middle of the pack. So that's how it worked. And as new shops were created and we discovered them, that list of 2 million shops grew.
Very quickly.
And quickly, yeah. Now, if you had a pretty quiet month and your sales weren't going up, then naturally you would see your rank go down a little bit. And depending on how high you were up there, a few sales could make a big difference. So if you were up in the top 100, not having a sale for a day or so probably didn't affect your ranking at all. But if you were, say, in the middle of the pack somewhere, just 4 or 5 sales can make you jump 10, 20, 50,000 places. Because if you were to look at how the distribution of sales on Etsy goes, there's a good chunk of shops with 10,000 or more sales. But then there's this long tail, and I think probably most viewers are out there are in this long tail where you've maybe got a couple hundred or a couple of thousand sales since you started your shop, and a few sales here and there make a big difference. So I ran a check today and looked at the number of people who had, I think it was between 530 and 540 sales since they opened their shop. And, oh gosh, don't quote me on that. It was something like that. It was a 10 sale difference. And there was something like 5,000 shops that were all within that little narrow window. So you can see how a couple of sales can push you up. So anyway, fast forward, and what happened about 4 weeks ago, Etsy made a change, unannounced change. And so we ended up getting on a call with them to say, hey, what's going on? By the way, have you seen what we've been working on? Stuff like that. So we occasionally have direct contact with Etsy. And we walk through this and show them why we do it. We talked about the bad buyer check and why we do that and so forth. Anyway, long story short, they made a change. We didn't particularly like it, but didn't like it because we had to do more work. But the upshot of it was that we were able to discover a huge chunk of shops, like 1 million shops, that we didn't know about previously. Unfortunately, some of these have had more sales than you've had. So that has resulted in a lot of people seeing their ranking drop. Now, if we had this same database a month ago, sure, your ranking would have been low, But all that good stuff you've done in the last month or since the 1st of January, you would have still been, on the way up. I'm sure of that, unless you're really, really struggling. So unfortunately, it's a bit like a reset, where you might have been floating up here and sort of gradually going up. You've dropped down, and you will notice pretty quickly that you start to creep up again. So
I think that the important thing to remind them is that when we talk about rank in relation to the sales rank that you're seeing on eRank, that is not your search ranking. We're not saying that your Etsy shop is doing bad or that your listings no longer are being visible. This is just a vanity metric that we provide to you so that you can feel good about where you are, and so that you kind of have those bragging rights compared to all the other shops on Etsy. So the fact that we have gotten our hands on more data basically about more sellers, this makes the tool more accurate, because every single day I'm sure hundreds of people join Etsy, and we have to get that data into our system in order for our tools to be accurate, whether no matter what the data is going to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate every single day. And a lot of our tools are going to require updates every once in a while in order to ensure that they remain accurate. But this doesn't mean that you guys aren't going to make sales. It doesn't mean that your visibility has been affected. This is just a little vanity metric that we provide to you guys for fun. That's really what it is. It's something to make you feel good. So it's not a reason to, it's not a reason to get upset. It's not a reason to, we've seen a couple people who have said, eRank is inaccurate. That's not what it is. If anything, it's more accurate because we have data now that we didn't have before.
Yep. Yeah. And, it's, you talk about this vanity thing. That's why we created this. It's vanity, but it's also some sort of acknowledgement of the good that you've done to date. And unfortunately, when there's a big change or shock like this, it can feel like a kick in the guts. But it has absolutely nothing to do with how much money you've made or how much money you're going to make. It's not going to affect your search ranking, just like you said. Etsy don't look at this and go, oh, I can't trust this shop anymore. It's not like that at all. It's an internal eRank metric that we've created to try and give you that little inspiration to go a little bit better the next day or the day after that, or come back in a month and see what progress you've made. So I hope that helps. I've talked a lot. So please, if you've got questions, let us know now, because we're on here for the next 45 minutes or so.
Yes.
And if you're concerned, I'll see if I can put your mind at rest. So
I think that we should, if anyone has questions about this particular change, because we know that, it is something new. We know that a lot of people are probably going to be talking about it. We've read your messages. We've seen your comments. We know that a lot of people are upset, but if you have questions about it right now is the very best time to ask those questions, because you can ask them directly to Anthony. You have that opportunity today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bounce between some of the comments and questions that we have on our Wednesday post. But if we have any questions about this specific topic, pop into the chat. I think that we will go ahead and prioritize those. So feel free to get those in. And we will actually, halt questions to make sure that we are getting to those. But Anthony, would you like me to continue with our Wednesday post questions while we wait to see if anyone else has any? Okay, cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Andrea said, what are your thoughts on the Etsy Explore feature? Do you have it? What's the buzz about it? Is this the future of Etsy? I seem to get a ton of views, but doesn't seem to be converting to sales. So a couple things to know about that Etsy Explore feature. First of all, iOS users, I believe, are still currently the only ones who have access to it. And I also believe, unless there has been an update in the last few days that I haven't seen, only Etsy sellers are able to see your Explore videos. So right now, if you're not getting, if you're getting a ton of views and they're not converting to sales, that makes perfect sense, because it's other sellers who are seeing it. And I don't understand, because I believe that it's been over a year now that since Etsy first introduced the Explore feature, and I check constantly as an Android user, and I still don't have access to it unless, like I said, unless something changed, in the last few days that I haven't noticed. But they are going to be getting rid of the Sell on Etsy, the little white and orange app, I believe in July, which means if you have not downloaded the blue Etsy app, despite all its problems, despite, how much, worse it is than the orange and white app, hopefully that means that they're going to be making some great changes to the blue app very soon. You do need to get that blue app as soon as possible, though, which hopefully means that since they are going to be really pushing that app and getting rid of the original Sell on Etsy app, maybe that means that very, very soon, hopefully before July, all of their users will also have access to that explore feature. That way, we can start talking about it and, guiding sellers. But I can't even begin to teach any content about it because I don't have it. I would have to go buy an iPhone to even get that content. But from everything I understand, it's going to be very similar to your Instagram Reels, your TikTok videos, your YouTube Shorts. I would just consider it another suite of short form content that you can distribute, recycle, and use across different platforms that support these, short form videos. If you're already on TikTok, Instagram, doing YouTube Shorts, you can recycle that content over to your Etsy Explore. And, right now is a great time to play around because the stakes are low. If customers aren't using it yet, it's great. That means that, you've got some wiggle room to throw out a few stinkers and, really refine your process for creating this type of content. That way, when buyers are using it, your content's already polished. And if you're on iPhone, then, you actually have a really great opportunity there that Android users don't have. So yeah, definitely keep playing with it.
Cool. Glad I could help with that one.
Yeah, right. I know you're big on the TikTok and short form video.
Oh yeah, I'm all over that. Yeah, I've got all their albums.
Oh, let's see.
Bad joke, isn't it?
Let's see. Heather had said, my goal is to stay top 10 and I'm almost always in that list. This is such a great feature. I only like the direct competitors for judging how I'm doing in ranking. Those 50 stores really help me to know how I'm really doing. If it's slow, I check to see if it's slow for them too.
That's a great way to look at it. And the other thing as well is if you were ranked here in the old system and your competitors were a little bit below you or a little bit above you, it's not like they've crisscrossed. So you've all gone up. Well, actually, you've probably all gone down a bit, unless you're like Caitlin Minimalist or someone like that. But you've all moved in the same direction. They haven't overtaken you at all. They haven't had 1,000 sales and you've had 2. It's not like that at all. It's just a readjustment across the board. But looking at the competitor sales area, I think is really where people should be focusing their attention. The rankers are nice to know. It can sometimes give you a pleasant surprise when you come in and haven't looked at it for a week and you go, oh, I'm up a little bit. That's nice. That's how it's supposed to be perceived. And like I said, we made this change in the last 24 hours, so people are seeing the opposite. And unfortunately, emotionally, that has the opposite effect. So, I was so tempted to just turn it off for a while, but it also felt bad if we were not sharing this updated data with you. So, when we get new information, we want to get it out to everyone as soon as possible.
It's one of those things where we're just as bummed as you are.
Oh yeah. My wife's not too happy with me today.
All right. So guys, if you have any questions about that update, like I said, feel free to go ahead and get those questions in the chat and we will prioritize them. But returning to the Wednesday post, Haley had asked, let's see, will you ever bring back the item sold data for each listing? Is there any possible way to show competitors' conversion rates? So first question, will you ever bring back the item sold data for each listing?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else to go with that or just yes?
I'll wait till you ask the next question.
Okay. Is there any possible way to show competitors' conversion rates?
Yes. Okay, so I'm being a bit cheeky here. Reality is that showing this sort of information really rubs me the wrong way. I don't feel particularly comfortable making it easy for strangers to know how much money you make. Because, you want to look at other people's shops. Well, put yourself in their shoes. That's a stranger figuring out how much money you make. So it's kind of creepy, right? That said, I have to be pragmatic about the whole approach here. That's my own personal opinion, But we've had hundreds of people say, we loved it. We want it back. It's great. I talked to Etsy about this. A couple of the senior folks at Etsy, they don't particularly like it because it gets very close to showing personal data about, private data about you and your shop. Now, us, eRank, and other companies out there have figured out ways to approximate that. And I explained that to Etsy. They're still not very happy about it. But they haven't said don't do it. So, we're going to bring it back. We're going to see if it's worth all the fuss. And I've told you my personal opinion on that. Enough of my philosophical rant. Yeah, we're going to bring it back. We're going to give you that insight. I think that between now and when we release that, I would focus on views, how many views listings have got. Because again, it's derived purely off public data. We're not getting creepy and making it easy for strangers to see how much money is being made for a listing. I would go off views and sort from high to low in the rank checker, for example, because you've got 500 listings in there for whatever keyword you type in. Look at views, and that will give you an idea of who's doing really well and who's not. But yeah, back to the beginning. Yes and yes, we are bringing it back.
All right. Anna said, I tried to track a shop in eRank today, but it's not showing any data. I'm just seeing dashes in the daily views and NA for shop age. The shop isn't on vacation mode. Is this a temporary glitch, or is there another reason why we might not see a shop's data?
A couple of reasons. Did you say vacation mode?
She said that they're not on vacation mode.
They're not on vacation mode. Okay. So for the competitor sales report, we are not tracking every shop on Etsy every single day. Etsy would kill us. They would be so unhappy about that. Plus, it's just too much data to be handling. So what happens is, if we haven't been tracking a shop, then you will see dashes, because we just don't know what was going on previously. We can't make stuff up. We're not in the business of creating imaginary numbers. We just don't have the data there. But what will happen as of tomorrow, probably, or the next day at about midnight, or somewhere between midnight and 1 a.m., you will start to see the estimated sales that shop had for Friday and Saturday and Sunday and so forth. It'll start collecting and tracking from that point onwards. So you haven't done anything wrong. Sounds like it's not a glitch. And if they're not in vacation mode, then I think you will find in the next 24 to 48 hours, you will start to see data collecting for that shop.
Awesome.
Starla, are you bouncing there?
I am, because I'm standing. I'm trying to use the standing desk, and you can tell I'm new to the standing desk world.
Yeah.
You're good at it.
I'm not, because sometimes I lean on my desk and see what happens.
Start shaking. I'm trying to not do that.
Yeah.
All right. Anne Marie had asked, so when I leave town, I never put my shop on vacation. I get sales and immediately reach out to the buyer and let them know when I'll be back to ship out the product. I offer them a full refund, and only one person was on a tight deadline for a gift. I marked their order as complete and put in a fake tracking number so it's not considered late. This seems to work. I've been doing this for 5 years. Is there a better way? I don't think that I definitely wouldn't do that, because there's a couple of reasons. First of all, that individual is going to get an email from Etsy saying, yay, your order shipped. If you input a tracking number, there's no way to stop it. They're going to get an email that says, yay, their order shipped. I'm going to probably guess that you're just doing this to try to appease the Etsy system. Your better bet would be to extend out your processing time when you're unavailable.
Yep.
Let your continue doing what you're doing, letting your customers know. But if you have an order that's sitting in your shop and you know that you need to extend out your processing time for that order that's already been placed, you can do that. You can go in to your orders that are just sitting and extend out the shipping time. I definitely wouldn't put in a fake tracking number, though, because for one, Etsy probably isn't going to like that, because that is a way to game the star seller program, because Etsy requires a valid tracking number in order for you to get star seller. So if they were to find out that you were trying to game that system, they could suspend your shop. Anything could happen. So I definitely wouldn't do that. Just extend out your processing times. I can tell you as a buyer that if I purchased a product and it said that it was going to ship in like 5 days and I placed the order, but then I got a message from the seller saying that it wasn't going to ship that quickly, I would be upset. You have to think about your customers and how they're going to see it. Extend out your processing times, that way, right when they place the order, they know how long it's going to take. And if you need to add time onto that for any reason whatsoever, communicate with the customer like you've been doing, and you can extend out that processing time from the back end where your orders are. But I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't put in a fake tracking number.
Yeah, I think you're lucky to have got away with it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that Etsy's shenanigan radar didn't pick you up on that there. So yeah, I really like that you're communicating with them right up front. I think that's great, but I would avoid gaming the system a little. Well, technically it's not gaming the system, but it's very unorthodox. So yeah, I definitely discourage.
Yeah. I mean, it could be seen as that way, because in order for you to qualify for star seller badges, you have to provide a valid tracking number. And if Etsy just sees a number inputted and then they give you star seller, when in reality you haven't been shipping those orders, a customer could report it. You never know.
Yep.
So I would just be careful.
Agreed.
Yeah. We had a great question over on YouTube. Soulful Sunflowers, that is eRank partnered with Etsy GPT. I recently watched a video about it, and the way their data is displayed looks just like eRank. There's an Etsy GPT?
No, never heard of it. This is news to me. Can you send me a link?
I'll look into it. I've been having fun. I've been playing around with Chat GPT. We did a live stream about it over on my channel 2 weeks ago, just showing sellers how, especially sellers who aren't, where English isn't their first language. It is a great tool to be able to take your descriptions. You can paste them right into Chat GPT and it'll catch, just little errors that you might have made, or if you know all the words that you want to describe for a necklace that you're selling, it's emerald, it is shaped like a heart on a silver chain, but you need a little bit of word flair to make it sound really fun. You can just put those words in and say, write me a product description for a silver, emerald heart-shaped necklace, and it'll go to town. I think that it's great, especially for sellers who need that extra bit of help.
Yeah, I finally played around with it for like all of sorry, I'm seeing cat hair floating around. Gracie, my little cat, is somewhere around here. I finally played around with it last week, very briefly, but I found it was bringing back some really neat keyword ideas. And then I was going in, I was copying and pasting those into the bulk rank checker, not the bulk rank checker, the bulk keyword tool. And I was like, oh, some of these are actually pretty popular keywords. So they're doing a really good job. If you haven't already played around with it, do it, and then go and copy and paste some of those words into the bulk keyword tool. And I'd be keen to see what you think of that as well. One of the developers here did ask if we were planning to do something with Chat GPT. I have trouble saying that, GPT. Keep wanting to say GTP.
That everybody has been.
Yeah. And we're monitoring it. So if it makes sense, we will. I just looked at, sorry, to get back onto the original question, I just had a quick look at Etsy GPT.
I just sent you a photo, Anthony. It does look exactly like eRank.
Yeah. So I am extremely cautious about this.
Yeah.
So I'm not playing sour grapes here or whatever because someone's come up with a cool browser extension. It just looks like, and I've lost Starla, so I'll keep going. It just looks like someone has spat out a browser extension very quickly. One thing I've noticed when we build browser extensions is you've got to be very careful about things like privacy, security, how much data people are gathering about you with those browser extensions. So sounds very cool. Make sure that you are not giving that browser permission to look at every single page that you look at on the internet, because a lot of browsers out there do that. And when we've been looking to buy data about what people do on Etsy, we've had to turn away some companies because they were just creepy. So, and it tied back to very sketchy browser extensions. Go and Google browser extension security risks and things like that, and privacy risks. They're real, and definitely don't install something that, you know, is from someone you've never heard about before. So yeah, just be really careful with that one. Do your homework.
I'm going to do some homework. I'm going to look into it.
Yeah, I mean, one way you can do it is you can, like, in your browser, you can right click on it, look at the properties in there, and it should show you what pages it's allowed to read that you're looking at. And the scenarios are, well, reading your email, looking at your bank accounts if you do online banking, looking at any sort of religious sites or political sites or anything that's health related or otherwise sensitive. Yeah, just be really, really careful with them. They can be spyware masquerading as a useful tool. I'm not saying this about Etsy GPT. I didn't know anything about them 5 minutes ago, but with any browser extension, be really, really careful.
Yeah, and when you've got, I know it's this way in Chrome, but when you've got a browser extension installed, you can typically see them up in your top right corner of your screen. And when you are on a page where that browser extension is actively on, they're colorful. And if you're on a page where that browser extension, for example, I've got Facebook up right now and I have the Honey browser extension. If I'm on a shopping website, it lights up orange. On Facebook, I'm not on a site where it's currently working and it turns off, but that probably means that Honey is looking at the types of websites that I'm shopping from. And you can go right in if you see that light up on a site that you don't want to be on,
and
you can turn it off.
You frozen or I've frozen?
Oh, I think you're frozen.
Uh-oh. I'm rocking side to side.
Yeah. And no, I see everything. I think maybe you just see me as frozen.
Oh no, you're back now.
Okay.
That was a little weird. Yeah, Honey is one of those ones that I do not like.
I only like them because they save me so much money, but I actively turn it off a lot.
It's like a, what's the word I'm looking, not the phrase I'm looking at. I'm thinking bait and switch, but it's not that. It's I don't know. It's very iffy. You basically sign away your browsing history. So just be really careful. Sometimes when they offer candy, it's laced with something. And this is one of those cases where, I mean, you could be totally cool with it as well. And for the most part, I don't mind people seeing what I do on the internet, but there are times when it's like, I want to shut the door here.
Yeah.
So yeah, be really careful. Even ones like Honey, they can be sending every URL back to their headquarters. And, you know, you've got to look at who owns the company. Does that company live in a jurisdiction that the US law can reach out to? Anyway, I'll stop there. I get a little paranoid with these sort of things, but I genuinely care about people not giving away too much of their own personal data for the sake of something that may seem convenient. So just be really, really careful there.
Yeah. All right. Janet over on Facebook had said, hello from New Zealand. I've been looking at the new Sell on Etsy app and would like to know how to track the activity in my shop. There used to be an activity tab in the old app. I have no idea. I know that Etsy hasn't completed that app. My biggest piece of advice is to continue using the old app and the new app together until the old app goes away, which I believe will be in July. Because I think they're still making, changes and trying to get everything switched over. They're just also trying to get users switched over, probably so that we can provide feedback like that, you know.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. We did have one more question on the Wednesday post. Jessica had asked, I had a so-called influencer send me a message a few days ago about one of my items. She asked if I could promote if she could promote one of my baby hats, but could I make a small thing to go with it? I told her yes, that I could do that. And if she was looking for a collaboration, I would give her a discount. I told her that if she bought the hat, I would throw in an extra smaller item for free in exchange for social media exposure. Since then, it's been silence. Did I mess up? When it comes to influencers, my big piece of advice, whether it be, bloggers, whoever, we all get those messages. Let me first start by saying that you will get them in every industry. I am also a science fiction author, completely unrelated niche. I've got completely unrelated Instagram accounts. I get those offers on that account as well from, random influencers who want to promote my products. We get them over on the eRank Instagram that they will promote eRank, for a fee. Big influencers typically do not need to cold call people like that. They do not need to reach out to find things to promote. We as sellers are typically the ones in a professional and mutual influencer marketing campaign. It is us who would reach out to them. So if they are so desperate to get, items to promote, they might just be trying to get free items or for you to pay them. It's not usually because they genuinely want to help you. And I know that, kind of sucks to hear. But and there are great tools out there. I can actually, if you want the name of one, I've got this fantastic one. I'll just have to look it up real quick. But basically this tool will allow you to enter in a couple keywords related to what you specialize in, and it will go and scan Instagram taglines for influencers who are open to collaborations in your industry. So if you wanted to collaborate with a top fashion influencer, it would basically go through all of the fashion influencers in its database and give you recommendations on fashion influencers who might be interested in working with you. So just be careful. I ignore messages like that. In fact, I usually block the person and mark the message as spam.
Good idea.
Yep. Okay, let's see.
Oh, well, Starla's doing that. Again, don't forget, get your questions in because you got us for another 15 minutes.
Yep.
And if you don't ask any more questions, we're going to start singing. And believe me, you do not want to hear me sing. So...
All right. So actually, you know what? You are right, because I just went through all of our comments and it doesn't look like there are any additional questions as of right now in our chat. But very, very quickly, we did talk about the changes to sales rank, but Anthony, we should probably acknowledge bad buyer check as well.
Yep. So here's another one. This change, it really sucks. Etsy are taking away their feedback API. And that basically is a system which allows us to pass in the buyer's user ID, and it comes back with the feedback that they've left for their previous purchases. For those that have used this, you'll know this can be really useful in protecting you from buyers that are trying to scam or extort you out of your products or getting stuff for free. There's not many buyers that are like that, but when you get one, it really hurts. You can be out of pocket for a lot of money.
And Anthony, another thing to note is that there are multiple TikTok trends that go around that teach people how to exploit Etsy sellers.
Yep.
And it almost feels like when one of these little trends goes viral, that these scams come in waves.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's so true. And we built that into eRank to protect you from people that are potentially doing that sort of thing. Karen Check's in the same situation as us. They built a great site to do exactly the same thing. And basically, we have to turn it off at the end of the month. So Karen Check, I checked them the other day. It looks like they're going to keep their site up, but it won't be functional anymore. We're taking the bad buyer check away. So if used to be in the dashboard. It'll go probably tomorrow afternoon. We'll see. I don't really want the developers to be working over the weekend. They've already been putting in a lot of late hours this week, so I want to give them a little bit of a break. So we'll probably remove that tomorrow at some point in the afternoon. And at that point, you're just going to have to be really careful. And, you know, if someone seems a bit sketchy, well, maybe you'll just have to go with gut feeling there. We have expressed our concerns to Etsy about this. On that call I was telling you about, we explained the bad buyer check, how it works, and why it's important to people. Etsy they actually do have some very valid concerns. I'm not going to relay them because some of that stuff was discussed in confidence, but they're valid concerns. So I understand why they're removing it. But I can assure you that we've put in a very good case for bringing it back, or something like that back, so that you can get some sort of indication about whether you can trust this buyer. So they definitely acknowledge it. They know that there's a need there, so they've got the message. I still think it doesn't hurt to remind people at Etsy, hey, can you please bring this back? It was really useful. It protected me. Because, you know, at the end of the day, they look at the feedback. They look at how many people give the feedback. If you articulate why it's important to you in a clear and professional manner, then they pay attention to that. If you just have a obscenity-laced email, you know what they're going to do with that? Delete.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's something you want and need, reach out to them, send them an email, tag them on Twitter, something. Just let them know, hey, we're really bummed about this. It helped us, and hopefully, you know, the single cry for help turns into a chorus and a chant, and they get the message and they do something sooner rather than later.
And while you guys are at it, ask them about Google Analytics 4 for Etsy as well, because
that would be nice. Yeah.
So, you can no longer make universal analytics properties, according to all the people who are commenting on my how to connect Etsy to Google Analytics video. So
did you try my method the other day or recently?
That I'm just going based on what they said. Okay. I've had an influx of comments out of nowhere saying that they can no longer create new Google Analytics properties. I don't know. Mine's already connected, so I have no idea if. Yeah,
I'll try again, because if there's a change and they've hidden the button elsewhere now, I'll update our documents. Yeah. But you know, it's going to be, well, you'll get maybe somebody 3 months worth of data.
Said somebody just asked to the timing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, so bad buyer check, it's going away. That's really a bummer. But the bit you know, there are so many things that I'm excited about with the changes that they're making. You know, they've put effort into making it faster. It's allowed us to grow our shop database, so that's really good. That means we can start to give you better guidance, give you better insight into competitors and more competitors, and we'll be rolling out those changes soon. So yeah, that's the big change. Oh, and yeah, the browser extension's coming soon. So you would have seen that towards the beginning. If you join late, you can catch the recording later and watch it all over again in slow mo.
All right. We did have a question. Somebody said, I'm a digital seller. I know that we can change photos without affecting ranking and quality score, but does changing the actual downloadable digital file and a small part of the description affect your ranking and quality score? I'm going to say probably not if you're just changing your digital file.
Yeah, I can't see why. Never really, how do I put it? Seen any comments from Etsy about that. Yeah, I think that it probably has absolutely no effect. The description, maybe the tiniest bit, but it would be like one of the weakest influences on ranking.
Yeah, I always talk about the algorithmic totem pole and how descriptions seem to be way down at the bottom. Just don't take in, if you've got good keywords in your description that explain exactly what your item is, maybe don't remove those. But if you're just adding a little part to the description, you know, I wouldn't see why it would have any negative impact, especially if it's a change that you need to make to keep your customers happy.
Yeah.
So, and since we also have, you know, a little gap in questions, Anthony, I did want to also toss out a quick warning to everybody. I don't know if you guys have been seeing it over on the eRank support side, but I had this influx of people email me talking about this scam where basically they get a message from what appears to be a customer asking for a very large custom order. And then they say, you know, I want it on here's my OneDrive link of everything that I want in the order. And then the customer, or I mean, the seller obviously would click that link to see what the customer wants, and it leads them off Etsy, and it ends up, well, I mean, we really don't know what it does. One person did message me to say that they clicked on it after I created a video about it. And they said that it made it mimic an Etsy login page and asked for their login details. I was able to trace the scam all the way back to the University of Pittsburgh because the URL for the OneDrive link had university right in that URL. I did a ton of research. Apparently it started as a small campus issue that they were trying to contain, but I guess it's since moved across multiple like selling platforms. But the moral of the story being that this scam has taken off over the last few weeks. Most of the reports that I have seen, especially over on Reddit and in the Etsy community, it's almost identical every single time. And they've been taking place in the last 2 months. And when I published that video, I was flooded with comments who said that, you know, basically the exact same thing had happened to them. So moral of the story, guys, is don't click on links outside of Etsy. If somebody wants a design, tell them, hey, can you send me a screenshot? Can you send me a photo?
Message me in Etsy.
Yeah, because the scammers, they're very pushy as well. Oh, you just have to click the link. You just have to click the link to see them. I'm on vacation.
I'm a serious buyer. I'm going to spend $1,000 with you. Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, seasoned sellers, they might know this information. Don't click on a link, but new sellers, you know, things like that can seem too good to be true. Oh, a huge order. That sounds so exciting. And
yeah, and especially when you're desperate for sales, it's like, wow, I've hit the jackpot. Yeah, just be really careful.
Sandy over on YouTube said, concerning Etsy's messages, I have 3 apps, seller, buyer, and the new app. My response rate keeps going down and I respond to all messages, but yet my response time is dropping. Why? Do I respond to all 3? It's the same messages. No, you're just seeing them on different apps. They're the same messages though. So I would definitely try to reach out to Etsy. And Sandy, I actually found a little grace with Etsy. I know that sometimes reaching them by email can be a pain in the butt. Their LinkedIn team is on it. So I have found that if you message them on LinkedIn, I think they've got a completely different support team working over there, and they seem to be very responsive. So
well, LinkedIn's the professional network, so they want to make sure that they're impressing potential investors and shareholders.
Yeah, so I would bring that
something
up.
there.
Yeah,
be the squeaky wheel on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Let's see. CJ Dragon's Planet said, if Etsy keeps the new vintage make your own offer in the future, can eRank let us know how many customers use this feature? I didn't know that you could make an offer on vintage products.
Yeah, it's something they're experimenting with, I believe, at the moment.
Okay. I don't like that.
No, I think it sucks. How about we make Etsy an offer on how much we think are acceptable fees?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, geez.
How much is the customer service team work?
Yeah. I don't know. I will have to look into it. I have to confess, I'm not a big vintage buyer, but I'll poke around and see if it's something we could probably track. Now, that said, vintage is a niche, and then you're asking for engagement in something that's a niche within a niche. So even if we could get some data on that, it could be like based on 10 users. and that's not going to be enough to give you. We couldn't extrapolate that and say, 8% of people use it or 50% of people use it. So I'm not optimistic we'll be able to get any meaningful data there. But look, I think it's a very interesting question, and we do occasionally analyze how people use the filters, and we're really doing a lot more research where we can to help you understand what's in the buyer's mind and how they engage and do things. Are things important to them? So I think it's a great question. Don't know if I've got any good news for you, but I will definitely look. Promise you that.
All right. And over on Facebook, in terms of the scams, Scott's always here hanging out, but he had a really, and this one, especially when, you bring up things like scams, a lot of sellers say, oh, I would never, but this is a great scenario where Scott's an experienced seller. Scott, you've been in the community for a long time. He said, I recently had a scammer posing as a buyer who wanted their logo added to some graphics, and they sent a link to their logo file. When I downloaded it, it looked like a PDF, but when I opened it, it was an exe file that would have run an app if I wasn't on Mac. So just watch out for anyone sending any type of file.
Yep. Yeah, especially if it's a link to an external site.
Yeah, it is. It's so easy. And even Beverly's in the chat saying that she had something similar happen to her as well. So, scammers are going to get better and better and better. And it's going to get scarier and scarier and harder. So you just have to kind of, always be vigilant, and, don't assume that every customer and good thing that happens to you is bad. I had a couple people reach out to me and say, I had a huge order yesterday. Oh no, am I being scammed? I'm like, wait, they already spent their money? No, scammers, they don't want to spend money, you're probably fine. But just be cautious of everything. You never know. All right. I think that is it, and we're down to the last 2 minutes. Anthony, did you have any final announcements that you wanted to make before we sign off for the day?
Oh, am I forgetting something? Is that your
polite
people say, oh, Anthony,
unless you wanted to reiterate the news.
Yeah, no, not so much an announcement, but please bear with us over the next few more days, because we are still in the process of migrating from the old Etsy API to the new one. So I know there have been some problems, like yesterday, for most of the day, you couldn't sort on the competitor sales page. We fixed that, but we also had a problem with, compare listings as well. So we don't normally have this many bugs, but because we've been changing systems, we've had to try and do things in a way where we're releasing it without making major changes and shocks to the system. And so we have had a few hiccups. So thank you for letting us know. You saw something weird. Please keep doing that. I would rather know 10 times than not know at all. But yeah, just bear with us if you see a bit of weird stuff. That's probably the changes we're making. I expect that over the weekend it will stabilize and we'll be back to normal next week. And your sales rank, just to go back to that for one last thing, it's dropped, but you should see it start to increase again. So please don't be disheartened by that. It's not meant to be like that. Just watch the progress. Everyone just had a big reset. That's really it. So that's all I got, Starla.
All right, guys. It's 4 o'clock on the dot where Anthony and I are. So thanks so much for hanging out. I'm sure that it will be back to probably Pam and I next week. And yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out. I guess we'll see you next Thursday.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.